Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from AmITheButtFace subreddit from me Sunflower 1997, who says, "Am I the buttface for telling my boyfriend how to cook his food? To me, this issue is absolutely ridiculous, but I'm here to see if I'm the issue. My boyfriend and I have been having issues, and I'm cognizant that I'm a part of the issues, but I can't always recognize when exactly, so I genuinely want advice. Please don't be rude about me or my boyfriend. We're people, not monsters." We went to the store earlier and he, 28 male, got one of his favorite frozen meals. I, 28 female, said on the way home, and this is a direct quote, "Hey, can you please use the oven for that when you cook it? It makes everything else we microwave smell like it for months afterwards if you use the microwave. I hate this meal. I cannot stand it. I have autism and the smell and taste are absolutely disgusting. It is my, oh no, someone microwaved rotten fish in the break room food." He instantly went silent. When we got home, he put the meal in the freezer and bathed without a word. I asked him if he wanted me to make it for him. He whispered the word no without looking at me. I asked what he wanted to eat. He didn't answer. I said his name twice because I thought he didn't hear me. The third time, I knew he did. I asked him what was wrong 4 times and he kept saying nothing. I said, "This is your last chance to tell me what's wrong. Otherwise, I'm moving on." He said he was upset that I told him how to cook his food and that it didn't taste right from the oven. I completely understand that. Skillet salmon is superior to baked salmon. Air-fried chicken nuggets are better than oven-baked or microwave chicken nuggets. I told him, okay, that's fine. You can use the microwave if it tastes better that way. Just wipe the microwave with a Clorox wipe. He said it didn't matter and his appetite was gone. He walked past me without looking at me, shut the bedroom door, and went to bed hungry. I don't know who else I can tell, but "this is your last chance to tell me what's wrong" is from literal years of him doing this exact thing, refusing to talk about it, and then making it my problem in arguments later on. I'm so tired of the pouting, and now I feel awful. I feel like I can't ask for simple things, otherwise I'm treated like I'm controlling, bitchy, self-centered, and abusive. He has used all of those terms to describe me except abusive, but we all know that the other 3 in tandem often mean abuse is involved. I don't want to be a bad person, especially to him, and I thought this was a reasonable ask and reasonable options for compromise. Please give me some insight. Am I the buttface for telling my boyfriend how to cook his food? Now, let's cover the actual title, which OP is not the buttface at all, right? The smell bothers them. It's just basic living together, right? Especially when OP has got autism and sensitive to the smells anyway. It's a super reasonable request to ask it to be cooked in the oven rather than the microwave. But let's face it, the real story isn't about the frozen meal at all, is it? It's the pattern of him sulking, refusing to communicate, going to bed hungry, which feels like performative, and then she ends up feeling like she did something wrong. And quite frankly, it's a red flag to the whole relationship, isn't it really? But Pixie Folk says not the buttface. My lord, I similarly have enjoyed a meal that my partner hates the smell of, and when he politely asked I not microwave it, my response was, of course, you should have said sooner, like a reasonable person. But the real problem here is the silent treatment, strop, and lack of well-meaning communication. It sounds like you're already aware of this, but you have much bigger problems than what goes in the microwave. Giggle Snick says, the food is a distraction. The real issue is how he handles feeling upset and pushes it back on you instead of dealing with it. Opie says I told him I would rather he tell me he needs a minute if he does actually need one. I know I get upset about stupid stuff, but I can say I need to think / calm down / have a freak out so I can then be reasonable. He takes a minute without telling me, whispers like his heart has been shattered, and then yells when I force him to talk. It's infuriating and disappointing and has made me cry more than once. Book Lover says not the buttface. He made a reasonable request as an adult. He gave you the silent treatment and pouted. I don't care if the roles were reversed or how old either of you are. He's being childish, possibly manipulative. Microwave foods like that are disgusting for everyone around, and asking him to clean it up after himself is not an unreasonable request. I'd recommend wiping down again with water after the Clorox though, because microwave chemicals aren't great either. Opie says, I told him even if he microwaves a cup of vinegar afterwards and lets it sit, that would help too, but the smell of his food makes me gag. Book Lover replies saying, how often does this happen? I hope for your sake it's not a regular thing. Opie says, the refusal to talk? All the time. Book Lover replies saying, why'd you put up with someone who uses such childish, manipulative tactics and behavior? And Dazit says, not the butt face. You didn't tell, you asked. You even said please, and you gave valuable context for your ask. A loving partner would want to make you happy and not stink up the kitchen, even if he was unaware of the smell. You even offered him an alternative after he sulked about it, but one that required a little bit of effort from him, and he didn't appreciate it at all. I don't think you did anything wrong, and I would feel annoyed that he is so unwilling to make you, his girlfriend, happy. I presume this man has gone through school or work. Surely he is capable of emotionally coping with another person asking him to change his behavior. Although, if he's uneducated and unemployed and constantly being arrested, then I think he has bigger problems. Why can he cope with feedback from people who aren't you? Opie says after we had a massive argument about it, he asked me if I could make it for him. At that point I lost my temper and told him that no matter who starts any issue, I'm always the one being asked to repair it by doing something for him, and that I hate it, and it's not just my job to make repairs. The question of why he can take feedback from others, not me. He can't. I think he has rejection sensitivity disorder from how he was talked to and treated as a child. I really try my best to consider that because I know what it's like and how it feels. I have it too, but when he gets feedback, he calls it criticism and treats it like the person is deliberately tearing apart his character, calling him stupid and insulting him. He really needs to realize that there are several people in his life who never talk crap behind his back and want what's best for him. But he pulls away when they try to steer him in a different direction than he's going. There are very few people in his life that he can take feedback from without feeling utterly destroyed. So OP comes in with an update and starts off saying, long story short, we broke up. We had several intense arguments after I posted this, several of which were huge issues in how we wanted to live in the future. Kids, house, animals, me working versus staying at home for childcare, what we wanted our kids to see between us and what we didn't want them to see, etc. And he dropped the bombshell that for months he had not wanted kids, which he knows I do, desperately. I did tell him what he did in the previous post was stonewalling and was abusive, like several of you said. I told him he thought about money more than love in a relationship. He agreed with me. I told him that I would rather be broke and happy than rich and miserable. I told him he acted like he hates me. I told him I didn't want to joke back and forth or cuss at one another with the state of our relationship, that I wanted him to be better about communicating and asking for space if that's what he needed, and that I was tired of him acting like any varying opinion of mine was criticizing him or whatever was going on in his head. Within an hour of me telling him that he had abusive tendencies and having that whole conversation, he was cussing at me, calling me names. He called me the B word, a see you next Tuesday, PIA, etc. He claimed later that all the name calling and cussing was a joke. I reminded him I said no more jokes or cussing until we were closer again, and he got mad. He ruined Valentine's Day by making more jokes at my expense. I'm off the hook because I got you flowers, right? You can only have this cake if you let me film myself smashing it in your face so I can send it to my friends, etc. I knew the second I held my ground that it was over. I text my parents and asked them to help me get the fuck out. He's so volatile and angry that sometimes I could literally just ask him what he wants for dinner and he would yell at me as a response. If I talk, he will yell and say it's because he's stressed. He's mad I posted about this. I don't care if he sees this update. I loved him so desperately and I tried my best to make it work. I need to focus on finding my own closure. Hopefully this is my last and only update. Wish me luck in staying away. A habit of 4.5 years is so hard to break. I wanted a life with him so badly, I would have done anything for it. But now I have to get myself back. I'm going to therapy to see how I can improve for myself and my next partner. I know I still have work to do. I'm going to seek out the surgery I need. I'm going to write and paint and crochet and figure out who I am again. Please be proud of me. Please. I need someone to be proud of me. Edit. And thank you guys so much for your support and kind words. Have one more carload of stuff and then I can be completely done. You all should watch the Netflix movie Lost in Starlight. That's what I want to emulate in my life from now on. Thank you all. You've given me the courage to do what I need to do. My word. Absolutely proud of OP for getting out of that situation, finding her hobbies again, finding herself, because that was absolutely wild and an abusive situation. Stonewalling for years and then weaponize it in arguments later. You know, it's a control tactic. Valentine's Day cake in the face, air quotes, joke, calling her a see you next Tuesday and claiming it's banter, hiding the no kids for months. And like OP said, a habit of 4.5 years is going to be hard to break, but absolutely rooting for you, OP. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, the next story, it comes from buckystars in the relationships subreddit, and it says, "Am I 35 female? Pushing marriage too soon?" He 34 male says he's not ready, but I definitely am. My boyfriend Scott and I have been dating for just over 2.5 years. We live together for almost a year now and have 3 cats together. Neither of us are happy in our hometown, and we've been making plans to move, hopefully this summer. We've had a deal that if I cannot find a job elsewhere by May, then he will start looking for a new job as well. It's harder for me to find a job than it is for him, as my field is fairly limited. I really want to move, so I'm willing to work anything if need be. We're making these plans for the future together, and I think that marriage is the natural next step in our relationship. I don't want to move out of state without having that commitment, plus our families are here. It'll be much harder to get everyone together for a wedding if we move. He says he's just not ready for that yet, and anytime I try to talk to him about it, he clams up. He says that he loves me and does want to marry me, but just not right now. I love him and I know he loves me, and if we're already planning our future together, then why can't marriage be a part of that? Relevant backstory. I've been married before. I met my ex-husband James when I was 19 and he was 28, and it was my first serious relationship. We got married when I was 21 and I divorced him 7 years later. He was a selfish, narcissistic liar, and it really screwed me up for a long time. I've had lots of issues with anxiety left over from the marriage and from growing up in an abusive house. I swore I would never get married again, but then I met Scott. Scott is the anti-James, the exact opposite in almost everything. I didn't think guys like Scott existed until I met him, and that's when I realized how badly I wanted to marry him. I think that life is too short to waste time, and I want to start the next chapter of our life together. It really hurts that he doesn't feel the same way about it. Look, I don't want to pressure him into marrying me, and I've promised him that I wouldn't push him about it. But we're in our mid-30s. I do not want to be dating for 10 years before we get married. He says he wants kids, even if we have to adopt them. I just don't want to be raising kids into my 60s and even 70s. I need some outside perspective on this. How do I handle the disappointment with this issue? I thought he was going to propose several times these past few months and then nothing. Edited to add that he didn't start dating until he was almost 30. He had one serious relationship before me that lasted a few years, but she cheated on him and they broke up. His parents had a nasty divorce when he was a late teenager, so I'm thinking that might be something to do with it. The first commenter says to OP, if he's not sure after 2.5 years at the age of 34, it's very likely that he'll never be ready. If marriage is important to you, it's time to have one more serious conversation, and if he's unwilling to get married, it's time for you to move on. Commenter replies to that saying, the average proposal happens between 2.5 and 3 years into a relationship. My husband informs me that I'm not ready for marriage. His guys speak for, I don't really want to marry you. Either way, he's had plenty of time to learn she's the one. Since he's 34, it's not like he's at the wrong stage in life or something. Another commenter says 2.5 years should be plenty to at least have a very serious conversation about the subject at your ages. Not much excuse for the not just yet song and dance once you're out of your 20s. What's his history? Previous divorce, long-term relationship that ended badly, or just perpetual bachelor? People don't end up single in their mid-30s without a history, and that'll be that it explains why he's so reticent. Quoting, he says he wants kids, even if we have to adopt them. And says, if he legit wants kids, especially if biological kids are on the table, you guys have a very obvious timeline. He has to be able to talk about this. If he can't, he's not long-term partner material. I'm not even saying that he has to agree to marry you, but he can't just refuse to talk about it. Opie says he didn't start dating until he was almost 30. He had one serious relationship before me that lasted a few years, but she cheated on him and they broke up. His parents had a nasty divorce when he was a late teenager, so I'm thinking that might be something to do with it. He's shy, nerdy kind of guy, but that's why I love him. And one more comment from a deleted user who says you need to have a sit down, maybe with a relationship counselor, maybe not, and talk about this. Him clamming up isn't helping because you don't know why he isn't ready. Plan a time to talk about it when you're both home, not right after work, not right before bed, when you have time to really talk about it. Don't whine, don't yell, don't get emotional. But very clearly ask him to help you understand what is he thinking and feeling with regard to the trajectory of your relationship. Explain very clearly and calmly your concerns and issues also. If he can't or won't talk to you about this, you have a bigger problem. A relationship cannot survive if communication isn't happening. And Opie says, I've tried to get him to go with me to a counselor, but he flat out refuses that. He does not believe in counseling and thinks they're a waste of time. I, on the other hand, have gone to a counselor fairly regularly since my divorce. It helped me immensely with getting over that and also more recent heavy stuff, like my dad dying. I don't know how to convince him to go with me. Now, I'm with the comments on some of this. I don't think OP's wrong for wanting clarity on the timeline, absolutely, and he's not wrong for wanting more time. But the problem is, the real issue is that there's no actual proper communication. I mean, it feels to me like she's dropping hints and expecting proposals, and he's clamming up when it comes to it, which is, just a recipe for resentment, right? And like some of the commenters says, that you just need to have an open, honest conversation about it. Is it going to happen or not? But OP did come back in with an update and said, update, we're getting married. I read all of your advice and took a lot of it to heart. I told Scott we needed to have a serious discussion about our future and that I needed an actual reason for not wanting to get married yet. It took a while, but he finally admitted that he was nervous about such a big life change. He finally said that yes, let's get married, and I got on my knee and proposed to him. It was really sweet. We picked out an engagement ring earlier this week and we just put a deposit down on a venue. He's done a 180 on his attitude about it and is now very excited about planning the wedding and our future. Thanks for the advice, everyone. One more happy ending here. Edited to add that I did not push him into it. I did not trick him, nor did I whine my way into an engagement ring. We had an adult discussion where we talked through everything he was concerned about. He never said he didn't want to get married, just wishy-washy about when. Commenter says, honestly, sometimes it takes a little push. My boyfriend's brother was with his girlfriend for 4 years. He wanted to get married, but was afraid of any conversation and action related to it. She finally had to tell him, if we want this venue, we need to start planning our wedding now. His family had to help push him along too. He loves her to death, but is just not a commitment guy, and he was afraid for that lifestyle change. They're perfectly happy planning their wedding now, and his proposal was beautiful. Even though it happened almost 3 months after they decided to get married. He couldn't figure out how to do it. Long story short, I don't think that just because someone is hesitant to get married, it means that they're going to back out later. Some people genuinely just need that little nudge to show them that getting married doesn't have to be a huge stress-filled relationship change. Opie replied saying thank you, and I agree completely. And commenter says, as a woman, I'm confused as to why we feel the need to push an SO into engagement or marriage. I don't want to be pressured into anything I'm not ready for. Is this a common occurrence among long-term couples? Not being rude, just genuinely curious. Opie says I didn't push him into it. He came to the decision on his own. We talked about it like adults and he decided it for himself. Commenter says, I want to be happy for you, but this just doesn't feel right. Opie had a final update of sorts which came 8 years later. Opie was commenting on an Ask Reddit post that was titled Parents Who Were Dead Set on Never Having Kids Before They Met the One. Did it end up being a good decision or do you regret it? Opie said, hey, that's me. I was extremely kid-free until I met my husband at 33. He wanted kids and made me want to have kids too. I realized it wasn't necessarily that I didn't want kids before. It was more that I didn't want kids with any of my previous partners. 11 years and 1 kid later, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. My daughter is my heart outside my body. No regrets. And a lot of people on the back of this were just relieved that it did end up well. When it came 8 years later, I mean, after the first update, a lot of people were like, it's a bit worrying that he suddenly turned around all of a sudden and everything's all good, they're getting married, etc. But in the end, it did all work out well for them both, which, is just a huge relief. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from the Relationship Advice subreddit from a throwaway account. Says, washing girlfriend's undies. Hey, so my girlfriend and I are both 25. I'm a guy. We've been dating for 3 years. She's a nurse and has been super busy and stressed lately, so she hasn't had really time to do laundry or her chores. I work an essential job, but I have the next few days off to rest, and I wanted to surprise her by cleaning our whole place spotless and doing all of her chores for her. She gets anxious and more stressed when our home is messy, but exhaustion has outweighed our desire for cleanliness. So here's my question. She has a bunch of undies and bras that she washes by hand in the sink and then air dries because she hasn't had time to do it. She's almost out of clean undies and I thought I'd wash them by hand for her, just for an extra surprise. But they are intimate items and there are period stains and discharge that needs to be cleaned. It doesn't really bother me. It's natural and I don't want her to potentially be embarrassed by me cleaning it. So for women or people in relationships, would it be okay for me to do this for her, or should I just clean everything else and leave her undies for her to clean? 80s Puppy says, definitely ask her first. But that's super sweet of you to even think about doing it. If she does give you the go-ahead, here's a tip. Cold water, especially for period stains. Hot water will set the stain and it'll never come out. A good soak in cold water is often all you need. A splash of hydrogen peroxide can help for really stubborn stains as well. Just make sure you rinse thoroughly. When you're done, don't wring delicates. It's hard on the fabric and defeats the purpose of hand washing. Instead, you can squeeze, then roll the items in a towel. You can skip this step, but it does get a fair bit of water out before hanging or laying flat to dry. You're a good partner. She's lucky to have you. Way Wrong says, whenever I had to hand wash, I was just automatically wrung them. This might explain why things end up too saggy and loose afterwards. Today I learned I've been doing it wrong for all these years. Thank you. I do love top tips on Reddit. Kibi says, hey, as a woman I gotta say, this is super sweet. She'll definitely appreciate the thought, I'm sure, but just ask first. It might be a little embarrassing for her knowing you went through and saw and did all that. But if she's notified beforehand, she may not feel all too bad, as long as she's aware you don't mind whatever. Being a girl has a lot of shitty downsides, and it's always cool knowing that our SOs don't mind things like that. Opie says thank you for commenting. The consensus is to ask, so I'm going to ask her before I do it. It'll ruin the surprise aspect a bit, but I just brought her a new heating pad because hers broke last week, so that'll be a good enough surprise, I hope. She's just been under a lot of stress lately, and I'm trying to help out as much as possible. But she's also my first actual relationship. We've only been living together a few months, so it's all a bit new to me. I think I'm getting too old for reading these stories. Why are the Onion Ninjas here on this one? Oh, dude is sweet. Katie says, oh honey, you are doing so good. You keep chugging away doing what you're doing, and I think things should work out just fine. You seem like a really sweet man. Good luck going forward and hope you both have long, happy lives together. Opie says thank you. I'm planning on proposing at some point after everything calms down. I was going to do it in June. We had a vacation planned to Peru, but our vacation days were cancelled and we were forced to stay and work. So hopefully this helps her feel appreciated and loved. Another commenter says, personally, as a woman, I'd be less worried about being embarrassed about the underwear and more worried about my husband accidentally doing it wrong and messing them up somehow. If it's something she generally washes by hand, she probably cares about them, and they might be high maintenance laundry-wise. I think it's a sweet gesture, but don't necessarily need to be a surprise. I'd appreciate it if my husband told me he wanted to do this and asked how first. Then I could just check it off my mental list without worrying about them. Lots of good tips there, and I can only agree with them about asking first, just in case it's embarrassing or whatever. And because that last comment as well, because they might need to wash a certain way and all that kind of thing. But OP is just a bloody green flag all around, right? OP gives an update within the same post and says, quick update. Thank you for all your responses. I really appreciate it and upvoted all your posts. I texted her asking if it was okay and she said thank you. That would be really nice, but you don't have to do it. I know most guys find it grody. So it's okay, I can do it myself. I took this as a yes and started soaking them in cold water with soap as a lot of you suggested. Thanks for that. I was going to do warm/hot water, and I definitely was probably going to wring them out, so I owe you guys. I know she's had some crappy experiences with previous boyfriends being grossed out and making her feel bad, which is super fucked. So I really just want to do what I can to make her feel loved and supported and all that gushy stuff so that she knows she never has to feel ashamed or embarrassed for being her. Thank you all again for your advice. You're all amazing. Second update, I know it's too soon, but holy crap, this blew up fast. First, I want to say thank you, you amazing Redditors, for the awards and all the kind words. Secondly, it's truly heartbreaking how many people said they cried or wish they had someone like this, or that more men should be like this. I want to apologize on behalf of men who have let women down in that department, as well as a lot of other departments. It's so fucked that you have to go through something that you don't get a choice in, and that so many people make you feel gross or lesser for it. I'm sorry you all had to experience that. I know there is a lot of really important discussions happening right now, and I wouldn't want to take that away from them, but at the same time, then adds a bunch of hashtags. Also, I did wash and soak them in the sink, and yes, I thoroughly washed the sink before I cleaned the undies. They're currently hanging to dry, and the bras are soaking. Natchi equals natural. You're all amazing, thank you so much. Commenter says, this post makes me feel like I've been abusing my underwear. The Cosmic Ghost says, right? I just put the wash on cold. There's people out there with specific soaps and bags specifically made to put underwear in when you wash them in a machine. They're on some next level stuff, and I'm taking notes. Commenter says, geez, you sound like a great guy. I just throw all my delicates in the wash on cool and pray, so I don't have any real advice. But I'm sure she'll appreciate the extra care you're putting into this. Have a good day, my dude. Opie says, I just laughed for a good several minutes at the thought of someone throwing their undies in the wash and doing a bunch of Hail Marys and the cross gesture in front of their face, so thank you. Opie gives a final update within the same post again, saying, so she came home to a clean place and all her undies clean. She was really happy. First time I've seen her smile in a week, so that made me happy. It's taken me a while, but I'm trying to give/use all the coins I've gotten to give awards to the best comments. And thank all of you for the support. I've had moments where I regretted posting because people were messaging me to insult me or just to be really gross. But with all the support, I'm standing by what I said. If someone has a problem with it, they can deal with it themselves. Thank you all again for all your advice, awards, and support. I wish everyone the best. Ah dear, as I said, the Onion Ninjas are about on this one. Not me crying on a post about washing some undies, right? But good on OP, that's absolutely lovely, and it is a lovely story to end this video on, I think. But what do you guys make of this situation? Maybe you got a completely different opinion on the matter. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go.